What if I told you that one of the most influential novels of the 20th century begins with a man who doesn't cry at his own mother's funeral? What if this same man commits murder on a beach simply because the sun was too bright? Welcome to the absurd world of Albert Camus and his groundbreaking novel, The Stranger. Published in 1942, this slim but powerful book introduced the world to existentialism and the philosophy of the absurd in a way that changed literature forever. Camus, a French-Algerian philosopher and writer who would later win the Nobel Prize, created a character so detached from society's expectations that he forces us to question everything we believe about meaning, morality, and what it means to be human. Meet Meursault, and right away, you'll notice something unsettling about him. The novel opens with one of the most famous lines in literature: "Mother died today, or maybe yesterday, I don't know." Imagine being so emotionally disconnected that you're not even sure when your own mother passed away. This isn't grief. This is something far more disturbing. As Meursault travels to his mother's funeral, we see a man who observes everything around him with scientific detachment. He notices the heat, the colors, the physical sensations, but shows no emotional response to his mother's death. The other mourners expect tears, expect grief, expect some display of love or loss. Instead, Meursault drinks coffee and smokes cigarettes during the wake. He's not being cruel or callous. He's simply being honest about what he feels, which is nothing. Here's what's fascinating. Camus is showing us a character who refuses to play society's emotional games. While everyone around him performs grief, Meursault won't pretend to feel something he doesn't. This makes everyone deeply uncomfortable, including us as readers. We expect certain emotional responses, and when they don't come, we don't know how to process it. The day after the funeral, and this detail becomes crucial later, Meursault goes to the beach with his friend Raymond. He meets Marie, a former co-worker, and they go swimming, watch a comedy film, and end up spending the night together. Again, society expects a grieving son, but Meursault simply lives in the present moment, responding to immediate physical pleasures without any sense of propriety or social expectation. But here's where the story takes its dark turn. Raymond, Meursault's neighbor, is involved in a conflict with some Arab men. The tension escalates, and on a blazing hot day at the beach, Meursault finds himself face to face with one of these men. The sun is beating down mercilessly, and this is key. The physical discomfort becomes overwhelming. In one of literature's most analyzed scenes, Meursault shoots the Arab man, not once, but 5 times. When asked why he continued shooting after the man was already dead, Meursault can't give a rational explanation. He essentially killed a man because the sun was too bright, because he was uncomfortable, because in that moment it seemed like the thing to do. Now here's the twist that makes this novel so powerful. During his trial, Meursault isn't really being judged for murder. He's being judged for not crying at his mother's funeral. The prosecutor makes this the centerpiece of his case. How can society trust a man who shows no emotion at his own mother's death? The court is more disturbed by his lack of conventional grief than by the actual crime. This is where Camus brilliantly exposes the absurdity of our social systems. Society creates these arbitrary rules about how we should feel, how we should behave, what emotions are appropriate when. And when someone refuses to follow these unwritten rules, we punish them more severely than we punish actual harmful actions. During his imprisonment, Meursault experiences what Camus calls the awakening. Facing execution, he finally understands the absurdity of existence. There is no inherent meaning in life, no grand purpose, no divine plan. We're all going to die anyway, so the universe is fundamentally indifferent to our struggles, our hopes, our fears. But here's the beautiful paradox. Once Meursault accepts this absurdity, he becomes free. He realizes that since life has no predetermined meaning, he's free to create his own meaning. He's free to live authentically, without pretense, without conforming to society's expectations. In his final moments, he opens his heart to the benign indifference of the universe and feels truly alive for the first time. The novel ends with Meursault hoping that many people will come to his execution and greet him with cries of hate. Why? Because their hatred will confirm that he lived authentically, that he refused to be what society wanted him to be. Their anger validates his choice to be genuine rather than fake. Here are some key lessons and takeaways. So what can we learn from Meursault's disturbing but enlightening journey? First, authenticity matters more than social approval. Meursault refuses to fake emotions he doesn't feel, and while this leads to his downfall, it also represents a kind of integrity that most of us lack. How often do we pretend to feel things we don't feel just to fit in? Second, society often punishes honesty more than dishonesty. The court cared more about Meursault's emotional response to his mother's death than about the actual murder. This reflects how we often judge people based on whether they conform to our expectations rather than on their actual actions. Third, life's lack of inherent meaning isn't a tragedy, it's liberation. Once you accept that there's no predetermined purpose, you're free to create your own purpose. You're not bound by others' definitions of how you should live. Fourth, living in the present moment has profound value. Meursault is always intensely aware of physical sensations, the heat, the light, physical pleasure. While his detachment is extreme, there's wisdom in his focus on immediate experience rather than dwelling on abstract concerns. Fifth, understanding the absurd doesn't mean becoming nihilistic. Camus argued that once we accept life's absurdity, we can rebel against it by living fully, creating meaning, and embracing our human experience despite its ultimate meaninglessness. Finally, the courage to be different requires accepting that others may not understand or approve. Meursault's authenticity comes at a terrible cost, but it also represents a refusal to live a lie. The conclusion. The Stranger isn't just a novel, it's a philosophical manifesto disguised as a crime story. Camus challenges us to examine our own authenticity, our own relationship with society's expectations, and our own understanding of what makes life meaningful. In a world that often demands we perform emotions we don't feel and conform to standards we don't believe in, Meursault's radical honesty, however disturbing, offers a powerful alternative. The next time you catch yourself pretending to feel something you don't, or conforming to expectations that don't align with your authentic self, remember Meursault. Sometimes being a stranger to society's conventions is the most honest way to live. What aspects of your life are you living authentically, and where are you just performing for others? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking book summaries that challenge the way you see the world.